Stefanie Powers, like so many other talented women, had a lifelong ambition to play Broadway. And now at last, at age 37, the chance came up. But so did something else.
I had agreed to do a play. I was thrilled to play Roxanne opposite Stacy Keach's Cyrano. And while we were in rehearsals, I got a telephone call. I think it was Aaron Spelling that called me first, and then Tom Mankiewicz.
I had just come back from England, and I had rewritten Superman and Superman 2. Things were going great. Like that famous dog in the cartoon, what I really wanted to do was direct. And Leonard Goldberg, who I knew, called me up, and he said, listen, I have this script of Sidney Sheldon's that we can't sell, and it's basically The Thin Man, Mr. and Mrs. North. If you will rewrite this so we can sell it, I'll let you direct the 2-hour movie. And I said, I'm in.
Well, when Heart to Heart came around, it was not Heart to Heart. It was called Double Twist. And it was pulled off the shelf and brought in front of Mr. Leonard Goldberg. And Len and I had known each other and Aaron for a long time. And
we all decided R.J. Wagner was the guy to play Jonathan Hart. You really wanted to have somebody who could have all the money in the world, but you'd love to have him for dinner. You wouldn't resent him a moment for a nickel's worth of it.
I was in Hawaii making a miniseries called Pearl. And Tom called me and he said, I read something, I think it could be pretty good.
He was very intrigued. He really was very positive, wanted to do it, and we had a meeting on how to tailor it exactly for him.
So then it came around to who was going to play Jennifer Hart.
And R.J. was a huge television star at the time, and so the list was potentially anybody we wanted. And he came up with the idea of Stefanie, who I gather had done an episode of It Takes a Thief with him.
So we met, and, you know, it was like, oh, being in the bosom of great friends, and what a lovely environment, and it was thrilling. But I also was going to Broadway, which I had always wanted to do. And I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm still trying.
And the network was very cool on her. She had been in The Girl from U.N.C.L.E., but I think that only lasted a year. Then she'd been in something called Feather and Father that had only lasted a few episodes. She was more, to their way of thinking, a guest star for an episode than the star of a series.
So I said, what are you talking about? Wait a minute, this girl is wonderful. I mean, she speaks several different languages, and she's been around the world, and she's very funny.
Little did I know what had gone on in the background.
And went back and forth and back and forth.
And I know very well that R.J. made a stand, and that Tom made a stand, and I know R.J. had not made a stand, I would never have played the part.
I mean, I just thought that Stefanie was right from the very beginning.
And at a certain point, he said to, I remember to Tony Thermopolis on the phone, Tony, you forget, I have co-star approval, I approve Stefanie Powers. And there was a big silence, and it came to pass.
As luck would have it, there was a newspaper strike in New York, so Cyrano was unable to open.
It was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I was able to do the pilot for Heart to Heart.
The pilot was done, a lot of people didn't like the pilot so much, you know, they didn't think it was so good, including the critics. But the thing that really made it happen was the relationship between Stefanie and myself.
You didn't tell him the rest?
What rest?
About the rose on the pillow.
I left it there last night.
You didn't leave that there this morning?
You fell asleep.
I fell asleep making love?
We didn't make love.
We didn't make love.
I remember about the third or fourth day in, when we were shooting the pilot, they had a long scene in bed together, 5 pages, which I would have preferred to shoot at the end, toward the end of the shoot, after everybody had really been working together for a long time. But because of the schedule, we had to do it then. And I remember we were relighting at one point, and Leonard Goldberg came on the set, and he came up behind me. He said, "How's it going?" And I said, "Leonard, God help me, they're married."